1 2 1 2. One, two, 1 2. I don't know why this beat is hype to me. When it gets down to a minute 2, 5 4 3 2 1. Let's get it. So somebody rolled up on Hillary Clinton, figuratively speaking, and it was something. It was a sight to behold.
Struck by the hypocrisy of the.
Two more people to hear from.
I'm sorry.
You have a chance. Well, I'm not sorry. You sit down.
I know
and
you're not sorry. That's the point. The hypocrisy of this speech. The hypocrisy of the fact that what do you have? Can you please
make
a statement about President Joe Biden's speech? This is a clearly warmongering speech. President Joe Biden is calling for $100 billion of funding for Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine, and we're supposed to just bundle these together and pretend like we're going to rush to World War III, and we're all just going to let Hillary Rodham Clinton sit here. Okay.
I'm sorry. You know, this is not the way to have a conversation.
I'm sorry.
If you want to have a conversation, you're welcome to come talk to me afterwards.
You can sit here. Okay, right. You're gonna wait for me, right? Please, I do not believe you.
I will listen to you, and I will respond to you.
I do not believe you. Respectfully, I do not believe you. And the fact of the matter is that the American people's voice are what need to be heard.
Yeah, they are being heard.
Because our president is not speaking for the American people, and neither are you.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
Yes, that's my opinion.
Well, then sit down. We've heard your opinion. Thank you very much. Now we're going to turn to people who are
I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop
working on behalf of human rights.
I'm going to exercise my free speech.
But it's not free speech when you are disrupting everybody else's opportunity to speak.
This is free speech, everyone. This is free speech. That is not free speech. This is people constructing narratives that are openly hypocritical. I'm sorry. The incredible hypocrisy.
You know, maybe you could actually
went with Eleanor Roosevelt to bring this Declaration of the Rights of Man. John Foster Dulles was involved with the CIA.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're brilliant in your historical cherry picking.
The Pinochet regime.
Listen.
Could you please inform me about the United States
Okay,
involvement in these historical things?
We're going to move on to
will you denounce Joe Biden? Will you denounce Joe Biden's
human rights, not just yelling about it. So, Frank, I want to turn to you because you are from Uganda, and Uganda's 2023 Anti-Homosexuality Act criminalizes LGBTI conduct in Uganda.
To push us to World War III.
Oh,
Do you
please.
understand? It's not about Israel and Palestine. It's not football. This isn't football. It's not Team America.
Well, I'm sorry, but some of us are on Team America despite our flaws and our problems.
Yes, that's me.
And some of us, every person on this stage.
You have to stop right now. You have to stop.
Or what?
Wait,
I want to say one thing.
Every person on this stage has risked their life, their income, their reputation, their careers, and what have you done other than stand up and disrupt?
I need you to
my record and these women's records and Frank's records against you any
You're
day
disrupting the
of
event.
the year.
I'll respond. What I have done is I have asked Hillary Rodham Clinton to denounce the president's openly warmongering, suicidal, idiotic speech.
And
That's
I've given
what I've
my
asked.
answer. I will
That's
not
what
do
I've
that.
done.
So that's the end of our conversation.
Okay,
but I'll
sure.
still meet you
I need your
outside. But you're done.
identification right now.
Okay.
If a clip ends with Hillary Clinton saying, "I'm going to meet you outside," that's one hell of a confrontation. That's not something. Dude is legend. King, you dropped your crown. There's no diss here. I'm just saying, if you have a confrontation with Hillary Clinton and it ends with her saying, "I want to meet you outside," that's an ominous moment. But Rick G has the take, one of the best confrontations of all time. I really wish I could have seen my face the first time I saw the conversation. That's probably the 5th time I've watched the conversation. And you know how I do. I'm going to have to watch the confrontation again. It was that good. Oh, do you know who this is, Rick? Who is this? Phil R. Buster? Is that the name of the... I actually have an article. Did they say that name in the article? Who's Phil R. Buster? Is it like a filibuster joke or something? Or is that a real person? Oh man, that was an epic confrontation. Rick G is right. One of the great, like filibuster, one of the greatest confrontations of all time, right there. And it's just so fitting because where my head was this morning. That's why I'm starting off with this. This happened Monday, October 23rd, while the former Secretary of State was a guest for the school's Making Human Rights Come Alive. This was at Columbia. I don't know if she's still a guest. I thought she was a professor at Columbia. Was it a different school? I actually did that live with River. I got to hit up River. We did that live. I don't know, probably like once a year I hit up River. That's embarrassing. I apologize for that. But we did a live. River and I were talking about Hillary Clinton, and she was becoming a that was actually one of my favorite segments where we were talking about how would you feel to be a professor in the class with Hillary Clinton. In this incident, it looked like a professor took her to school. Hillary Clinton got heckled like I've never seen it before. I don't think that's a fake. There's no way that's an act. I thought it was a deep fake at first. I was like, there's no way this really happened. Yeah, the man interrupted. This article doesn't say who the name is. I thought I saw somewhere it was a professor. But let's just enjoy this again before we get, a little bit of it before we get into it. Oh, just joking. Okay, that's what I thought. I'm like, I got with the Phil. I was like, that sounds like filibuster. This is it. It started hot.
Struck by the hypocrisy of this.
Two more people to hear from.
I'm sorry.
You have a chance. Well, I'm not sorry. You sit down.
I
and
know
we're
you're
gonna
not
let
sorry.
other
That's the
people-
point.
He was so good. He was ready for the moment. And, everybody, of course, we're going with the jokes of, I'm not, I love life, all that type of stuff. This dude, every second of every day has to say he loves life. Otherwise, that might not be the last one. But he was ready for this. Really, the people who are more in danger of that is actually security or whoever's there. That's Hillary Clinton. Does she get Secret Service? She doesn't get Secret Service, does she? Well, she was a former, she should get Secret Service, right? Not that there was any threat there physically, but I mean, these people don't like to be questioned. If there's one thing that these warmongering freaks don't like, it's a question. It's a legitimate question. That's why that dude, the African dude, got banned out of the press briefings. That's why Joe Biden, after he's done speaking, his back's turned, he's leaving. Some of them try to do a little fake battling but none of them, they don't like to answer questions because that's when problems arise. So he gets up and he says, I'm sorry. And then Hillary Clinton says, I'm not sorry. And this started, I don't know how long this went before this, but you can see it had already gotten heated right here.
Two more people to hear from.
I'm sorry.
You have a chance. Well, I'm not sorry. You sit down.
I know you're
not
not sorry. That's the point. The hypocrisy of...
His voice is not quivering. He's not nervous. He's acting like he's been here before. That's part of what made this a legendary moment. Hillary Clinton says, "I'm not sorry." And he's like, "I know you're not sorry." This is how these people need to be talked to. This is how these people need to be addressed. He was on peace. He didn't do anything out of line.
I know you're not sorry. That's the point. The hypocrisy of this speech. The hypocrisy of the fact that what do you have? Can you please make a
and you can kind of look at the room. We've seen some of these confrontations where the room kind of rallies around their oligarch. It's almost like they feel like that's the safer position. I'm not really getting that vibe right now.
Statement about President Joe Biden's speech.
Yeah, he's kind of. I don't really get the vibe like they're ready to rush to their oligarch savior, Hillary Clinton. He went with the government name.
This is a clearly warmongering speech. President Joe Biden is calling for $100 billion of funding for Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine, and we're supposed to just bundle these together and pretend like we're going to rush to World War III, and we're all just going to let Hillary Rodham Clinton sit here. Okay.
I'm sorry. You know, this is not the way to have a conversation.
I'm sorry.
If you want to have a conversation,
we're not having a conversation. You're getting dressed down.
Welcome to come talk to me afterwards.
Oh no, that was the first sign that something went astray. Well, after the first sign was actually the "I'm not sorry." This is the second sign. She said what?
Have a conversation.
I'm sorry.
If you want to have a conversation, you're welcome to come talk to me afterwards.
You can sit here. Okay.
That's kind of like you don't want that type of conversation after the show with Hillary Clinton. That's how you get the news story of 6 feet tall people. I'm just making this up, not talking about anything in the news. That's where you get the story of a 6'2" dude drowning in 3 feet of water on a paddleboard. And it's just like, wait a second, none of this is adding up. That's how you get that story. You're like, oh, he tripped. Oh, it was turbulence. It was like, oh wait, I never heard of a nigga dying from turbulence before. Yeah, how did he win? How did he die? How did she die? Turbulence. You're like, wait, turbulence? I've never heard anything like that before. What do you mean turbulence? Just shut up. That's how you find out something. That's how you hear the story the next day that, oh, his shoelace was untied and he tripped and fell down the stairs and fatality. Oh, what? Yeah, that's what happened.
Right, you're gonna wait for me, right? Please, I do not believe you.
I will listen to you, and I will respond to you.
I do not believe you. Respectfully, I do not believe you. And the fact of the matter is that the American people's voice are what need to be heard.
Yeah, they are being heard.
Our president is not speaking for the American people, and neither are you.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion.
Yes,
it is. Yes, it is.
Well, then sit down. We've heard your opinion.
Oh, there's another one. So we've got a lot. Like it looked like Hillary wanted to put hands on him.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to turn to people who are on the front lines.
I'm not going to stop
working on
that wasn't a very, that wasn't a big applause there. There was this little smattering of applause. There's a lot of people in that room. They didn't sound like a lot of people were clapping.
Now we're going to turn to people who are on the front lines.
I'm not going to stop.
It sounded like 5 people.
Human rights.
I'm going to exercise my free speech.
But it's not free speech when you are disrupting everybody else's.
Yeah, no, it's not free speech. But you're gonna get this speech though.
It is free speech. This is free speech, everyone. This is free speech. That is not free speech. This is people constructing narratives that are openly hypocritical. I'm sorry. The incredible hypocrisy.
Maybe you could actually
went with Eleanor Roosevelt to bring this Declaration of the Rights of Man. John Foster Dulles was involved with the CIA.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're brilliant in your historical cherry picking.
The Pinochet regime.
Listen.
Could you please inform me about the United States?
Okay,
we're
going to move on to
Clinton. Will you denounce Joe Biden?
Will you denounce Joe Biden's human rights, not just yelling about it? So, Frank, I want to turn to you because you are from Uganda.
What a moment. He brought it all out there in a heartbeat. And there's people out here who are unafraid, showing courage. And it's very inspiring. That wouldn't be my style, but I highly respect it. And everybody has a different, I think the Pinochet, what was he talking about? That's the coup in Argentina or something like that. So he has a different angle. I never heard of it really. I don't think I heard of it until he said that. And people have their different strengths and weaknesses, and he looked like he was born for that moment. She is not. Metalopoly says, "What's up, Metalopoly?" He says she's not used to being challenged. You can tell that. She was not happy. Went legend. I don't even know the name of the dude. Went just strictly, completely, absolutely legend. And that's what I really want to talk about today is that I talk with my wife about just sometimes I'll run things off. She's not into politics too much, so I won't do too much. But something that I do that pisses her off is I will tell her I'm going to make my own definitions for terms. There are many terms that don't have a definition to me, a clear definition. And I say, well, I'm going to define them. One of them we've talked about on the show is cancel culture. Another one that we've talked about is vaccine. And really with that one is just putting it back to what the old definition was. I gave her my definition of populism, equity, woke. And it pisses her off because you're like, you can't do it. She's like, you can't do that. You can't make up your own definition. And I always tell her, the hell I can't. Stop me. Now, people might not respect it. You might think I'm crazy. That's perfectly legit. But I can make up my own definition. And basically, if you're going to have a conversation with me, if you want to understand what I'm saying, you don't have to listen. But that's what I mean when I say these terms. And I try to stay away from terms I can't define. Conservative is one I talk about all the time. I do use anti-Semitism, but only to talk about people who use the term anti-Semitism. I don't accuse people of that. Racism, I don't know if I've ever done, have I done that? Maybe in the past, but over the last 3 years, I don't know if I've ever done that other than retorting back to like an racist or something like that. Those aren't terms I really use. So I use certain terms, define them, and I kind of make them. Yeah, I did the same thing with MAGA. I make MAGA whatever I want to make MAGA. It might not mean anything. It might be a drop in the ocean, but you can't stop me. And it's funny because I kind of do it sometimes because it does piss her off. Maybe I just believe, you can think I'm crazy, all that, but maybe I just believe in kind of that concept of manifest destiny. Manifest destiny is a term that originated in the 19th century and was used to justify the United States expansion westward across the North American continent. The core belief behind manifest destiny is that it was the nation's destiny bestowed by God to spread across and control the continent, bringing what were seen as benefits of their civilization and culture to new territories. The ideology was heavily imbued with a sense of mission and the belief in the superiority of American institutions and culture. The era of American equivocation is over. That's the new term. I didn't make that term up, but that's the new term I'm taking and I'm kind of going to work on defining. And I think that era of American equivocation is over. I'm declaring it as over. Why is it over? Because I said it's over. That's why. And that's the whole thought behind the live. There was a clip from young Nicholas Fuentes that I just watched this random clip. I forgot even how I got onto it. I don't even remember. I was maybe looking for a Nick clip or something on X. And then I happened on the show that I've talked multiple times about. I don't think it's on YouTube anymore. Last time I looked, I don't think I could find it. But maybe it is. Maybe I'm just tripping. One of the greatest shows, I mean, there's a lot of shows I like, so I probably say this too much, but one of the greatest shows that I've ever enjoyed was called You Are Here, with Elijah Schaefer and Sydney Watson. And I think she's still doing stuff with Jeremy the Quartering. That's great. This show was really good because you had two people who had enough in common to be able to do a show, and then enough different for there to be healthy tension. So they had good moments, funny moments, then tense moments on these hot topics, silly topics. I mean, it was just and I didn't really appreciate the show as much until the whole whatever the Jack what's his name, the beard guy, whatever that used to go on Timcast, and I can't remember. Not no diss to him, I just forgot his name, but Jack, what's his name, Jack whatever. And that that whole controversy popped off, and then ever since then that was a big controversy, but then it went downhill. But where did I get this term American equivocation? I mean, it just goes along with what I've been talking about, which is the kindness of America being used as a weakness, and I'm just wrapping it into that term. And on that show, You Are Here, this is the show, this is the episode. Believe it or not, Eric July is off camera on this. This is the one where Eric July was there. One of their best episodes on one of the best shows. And Nick Fuentes was on there, and he's always respectful on all these guest shows. He's always very respectful, but he does not back down from what he stands for.
In my opinion, the truth is polarizing. When Jesus came, he said, I came to divide people. I came to bring a sword. I'm going to separate people in their own houses. And, I think this kind of equivocating, like, well, I understand your perspective, but, listen, I think this kind of equivocation that people does.
So he said equivocation, and I just happened to see the video, and I'm like, that's what it is. It's American equivocation, and it's over.
Is actually doing more harm than good because it obfuscates the real truth. And when I come on my show, it's raw, it's uncut, like the truth is. And I'm giving it to people, I'm delivering it to people, and they might not like it. Some people, I think it resonates very strongly, and they like that. The biggest problem is the people who are righteous in this country, I think, are too timid. They don't have the boldness. They don't have the courage to alienate people. Particularly with conservatives, they want to be liked by everybody. You ever notice this? Liberals don't care if conservatives like them. Conservatives really care that liberals like them, and they talk in such a way that they want liberals to like them, and they want women to like them. They want black people to like them. And you hear conservatives talk about race, and they're tiptoeing around it, very delicate, walking on eggshells because we don't want to offend the black people. And same thing with women. Well, we got to be delicate about it. We don't want to offend the women. And, I think a lot of this is because of the society that we live in, where you've got to sell products to a mass audience of people from different races and different genders, and we live in a mass democracy, and you've got to win all the votes. But me, as somebody that is strictly an entertainer and a truth teller, I'm really unconcerned with the sort of popularity of my personage or my views. I'm about going in there and saying what needs to be said. And if people are influenced by that, and they want to go and play that game and equivocate, and they want to say, well, I think what Nick is trying to say is, they can go and do that, but I'm really more, to me, my concern is just getting that message out there and getting the truth out there. And people, I think, should be more concerned about telling the truth, being real, being raw, being who they are, than sort of overthinking it in this sort of self-conscious, like, how are we going to cleverly maneuver and strategize? Like, I'm just going on my show live every night and saying, listen, here's how it is. I'm independent. I'm a free thinker. I'm not paid by anybody. I don't have to worry about sponsors or whatever. And here's the real deal. And so that's my philosophy.
And you can quickly see why I navigate to and listen to that young man right there, because that's basically where my headspace is. You go back to the channel, go back to the first videos, the early videos of the channel, and the vibe is different. You go back to Eric July's earlier videos, the vibe is different. So it's sometimes interesting to go back and look at the progression of how like someone has evolved. And I've evolved to that point where the tolerance is the problem. You're tolerating the wrong thing. And I'm seeing an end to that come up real quick. Why do you think they're so concerned about this term anti-Semitism? So Karine Jean-Pierre, she fielded a question from the press corps, and the press corps asked her, about the rise of anti-Semitism. And she struggled with the question. It wasn't the smooth answer that you would expect to that. Not that she's smooth, but that you would expect to that. That's a layup question. It's not a hard question to answer. If somebody says, well, what about the rise of anti-Semitism? I mean, it's a stupid question. I will get to that. But it's not a hard question to answer. So why did she really struggle with it like that? And why was the question asked in the first place, too? I think it's because there's a rise of people who are showing courage that they don't care about that term.
Level of concern right now about the potential rise of anti-Semitism in light of everything that's going on in Israel?
So a couple of things. We have not seen any credible threats. I know there's been always questions about credible threats, and so just want to make sure that that's out there. But look, Muslim and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks. And certainly President Biden understands that many of our Muslim, Arab Americans and Palestinian American loved ones and neighbors are worried about the hate being directed at their communities, and that is something you heard the president speak to in his address just last Thursday. And so one of the things that the president has done is directed his team, Homeland Security team, to prioritize prevention and disruption of any emerging threats that could harm the Jewish, the Muslim, Arab Americans, or any other communities. And that is something that the president has sought to do and since day one. As you know, the president ran on bringing protecting communities, obviously, but bringing people together, protecting the soul of the nation, and so that is something that the president takes very, very seriously, and we're going to continue to denounce any sort of hate towards any American here, and so that's what we're going to continue to be steadfast on. Again, he has directed his Homeland Security team to make sure that they're on top of this.
Yeah, so she said that she misunderstood or didn't hear the question, and it's tough to say. I'm actually going to give her the benefit of the doubt on that. The one part in the middle when she brought up Jewish people made me think like she did understand the question and just was very bad at it. But either way, that's not even really the point. The point is you cannot be afraid to be, well, I don't want to tell anybody what they need to do. The point is that I think there are more people who are not afraid of these terms. These terms are being used to bring grown men and women to their knees. Just like racism, anti-Semitic, they can label you that, and then you are persona non grata. You can not get a job. You see cancel culture is getting people fired. People who are pro-Israel, pro-Palestine. There are people allegedly getting fired over these views. They tried to get Cassandra McDonald fired. Why? Because she's just not into the Israel propaganda on this war. Just because of that, want to get her fired from Timcast. They want to put pressure on Tim. There's people who said, well, Tim doesn't have enough. Well, there's one person I know of that said Tim doesn't have enough Jewish people on his show. I guess he doesn't have the right Jewish people on his show for some people. But that's all that is to put grown men and women to their knees that might have the courage to say no. Earlier today, we saw, and you see, they're asking about that rise of anti-Semitism because what that is meaning is they're seeing more and more people with courage who don't care about being labeled as such. So when Nikki Haley posts on X that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, people laugh at her. She gets ratioed on X and she gets embarrassed. And now people looking at it like we can't just call people anti-Semites and it just stops the conversation. That is a sign to me of a rise of, I mean, I don't know what this new kind of thing's going to be called. I don't know what it is. You know, this is basically where we're going from MAGA. I don't know what this evolution is going to be called. For right now, America First is what I'm going to call it, because that's really what it is. And it's going to encompass people who are on the left. I think I like where the new MAGA is heading. The new MAGA is heading towards libertarians. It's not even like an ideology that would conflict with libertarianism. It's really people who have maybe different views on how to put America first, but enough agreement that Israel is brought up a lot now, and I'm going to bring it up a lot because China isn't as polarizing. You don't get, okay, China, is China a problem? You can get people in DC to say that. Is Ukraine a problem? You can get people in DC to say that. Is Israel a problem? I don't know if you can get one person in Washington, D.C. to say that. And so that's why it's the constant theme, and that America First, whatever it is called, it is going to be built up of people who are not afraid to say, Israel does not come before any of my interests here. And that's why I'm excited about the evolution. I don't know what it's going to be called. It's going to be interesting to see if I'm right, if I'm wrong. The day started out for me, one of the first posts on X that I saw. I'm always combing through X to see what's out there. And one of the first, it was just, I don't know, I saw this from Kim Iverson. And it's just like, I don't know what to do with this. And then this is the moment I was like, wait a second. They're not going to try to play with my emotions to... Here's what, let me show you. This is from the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces X account. And they posted, this would have been a photo of a lifeless pregnant woman next to her beheaded unborn baby, cut out of her belly by Hamas terrorists. Due to this platform's guidelines, we can't show you that. And I don't know. I mean, from the stuff I've seen on X, I don't know what you can't show on there at this point. But maybe they're right. But what's the point of this? What's the point? Is the point to say, just like Jonathan Greenblatt said, basically that one Israeli life is equal to about 46 non-Israeli lives? That's basically the ratio that he promoted when he was on with Morning Joe. So is that what that is saying? Because Hamas did that? If Hamas did all that, what they're basically saying is it justifies the response that we're doing in return. And you must be with us. That's basically what I hope that's fair to say. That's basically what they're saying. The reason why I'm talking about this ratio so often is I actually have this on a drop now. I think I uploaded a couple drops, and I think, let me look and see. I think I put it on a drop. Oh, no, I didn't. Maybe, I think I had to delete it, but I have it here anyway. I was just curious if I had it on the drop uploaded. This is the Jonathan Greenblatt, and this is when I say what ratio are you looking for, this is what I mean by this clip right here when he was on Morning Joe.
9/11, the evil that was perpetrated here, but the scale, Jonathan, the right comparison is Nagasaki. This was like an atomic bomb, and as 40,000 people were killed in Japan when they dropped that bomb in Nagasaki, so too were the hundreds upon hundreds of people who were killed in Israel. 9/11.
So he compared the tragedy of totals I've seen is about 1,600 Israelis dead and some hostages. Terrible. But he goes on Morning Joe, and only this type of interest here, only this type of person who is an anti-populist, Democratic Party machine protecting, Israel interest protecting over America type of dude, trying to take away my rights type of dude, only he could make the tragedy something that I would want to question. He goes on Morning Joe. He says 1,600 people died. And then he says it's not like 9/11. Don't do that. 9/11, about 3,000 people died. That's more than the 1,600. So I don't even know. Number one, who's trying to do a ratio comparison? Not me. He's trying to do a ratio comparison. So now I'm trying to get inside of his head. He went on. Remember, he's on here because there were some hosts on MSNBC. They're still there, but they got suspended allegedly for a little bit, that said something that he didn't agree with. He said, who's writing before this? He was like, who's writing your script? We have a script for the news now? Well, they'd have the teleprompter, but like it's news. Like, what do you mean? He's acting like it's a play or something. People can have opinions that don't agree with yours. I don't care what your tragedy is. That's the kind of the winds of change that we're seeing. And if you compare 1,600 to 74,000 killed in Nagasaki, then you're saying one Israeli life equals about 46 of a non-Israeli or Japanese or whoever. They probably will amp that up for Palestinians. How does one Israeli equal maybe 460 Palestinians? And that's what justifies the bombing. I think people are looking at the news and they're reading it and they're saying, I don't know if I want to stand with this. I mean, this is just anecdotal. I could be completely wrong. We are seeing the protests. The protests are, I'm not even going to use the protests as an example. And what I see here is we were arguing over this hospital, which to this day, right now, we don't know what happened. We have no idea what happened with the hospital. If anybody's telling you definitively that they know what happened with the hospital, they don't know what's going on. Because the Pentagon, the government, they don't know what's going on. And there are many other questions being asked. And I think I'm going to put together a video. Well, actually, somebody actually did put together a good one. So I might not recreate the wheel on that. Maybe I'll look at that one to play it. But then there's more stuff since I saw this video that came out. But we were arguing whether the Israeli targeted, the Israeli targeted hospital, was destroyed by an Israeli missile or not. So we were talking about that, debating that one night. But then now, without debate, pretty much, since then, Israel has gone on a mass murdering spree of innocent Palestinians. 40% of them children. I had majority children on there. I got a little emotional, I guess you could say. I said majority. I thought it was over 50%. I was reading some articles, read it too quickly. But it wasn't majority. It's 40%. So I guess it wasn't a mass. Maybe it's a mini murder. 40% of the deaths are children, younger than 18. And where am I getting the numbers for this? This is from Al Jazeera. Are they accurate? I don't know. But the big thing to look at is Israel hasn't questioned this that I've seen. And the U.S., really it's the U.S. you got to look at. The U.S. has not questioned this. In fact, they've kind of prepared us for this. Gaza death toll tops 5,000. Nearly half of them children. Children make up 40% of the dead since Israel started bombing the enclave, according to Gaza's Ministry of Health. So that we don't, again, fog of war, but we can see what's happening in videos. No one's really contesting this. No one's arguing this. Officials. That's what you really have to do. You have to look at and look at the officials to see what's going on. And John Kirby basically kind of prepped us for this. John Kirby was like, yeah, you know what? War is kind of like a ugly thing. I want to make sure you guys I know you guys have probably seen some stuff. This is paraphrasing, but I think this is the context. Is like you guys have probably seen a lot of stuff of war that you wouldn't have seen in the past, and it's ugly.
This is war. It is combat. It is bloody. It is ugly, and it's going to be messy. And innocent civilians are going to be hurt going forward. I wish I could tell you something different. I wish that wasn't going to happen. But it is
Oh, so when you're flying your jets over the ghetto of Israel, which is the Gaza Strip, and you let a bomb go and you kill, I don't know, 10, 20 little kids, do you say, my bad? Oops. Like maybe you're, like if you're at the club, you're walking through to the bar, you actually step on somebody's Timbos. You're like, well, my bad. I wasn't not trying to start any beef. I'm sorry. So if you kill maybe one child, do you say like, you kind of, if you accidentally cut somebody off, you wave your hand, you might just go, oh, my bad. Sorry about that. If you kill 20 or 30, maybe you say, oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Is going to happen. And that doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it dismissible. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to still express.
What does that mean that it doesn't make it right?
That doesn't make it right.
It doesn't make it right. Well, actually, your argument is that it does make it right. That's why you want money for us to fund it.
That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it.
See, this isn't 2001, guys. We are now seeing a lot of the stuff we didn't see with the 400,000 Iraqis and Afghanistans, that innocent ones. This isn't an army. I'm talking about just regular civilians that we killed, that our government killed with our tax dollars. And when in there, Saudi Arabia was where they were housed. It was Al Qaeda. So they went through Iraq, then Afghanistan, trillions of dollars, millions of lives lost. We'll go with the 400,000. But now we're seeing it a little bit more up close now. And now he has to come out. That's why he has to come out and say this.
Doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it dismissible. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to still express concerns about that and do everything we can to help the Israelis do everything they can to minimize it. But that's unfortunately the nature of conflict.
Yeah, that's just how it works. Yeah, but the question is why. That's the question that you're not answering, and there's other questions that you're not answering either. It's telling that the reporters there don't ask. The war is ugly. We got that. We know you won't really answer why. Okay, we got that. Who profits off of this? Who are the people that are profiting off of this war? There's a lot of money being spent. Is anyone profiting off this war? If they are, who are they? Because I want to know who's making money off of dead bodies. I know the Democratic Party machine loves that. There's nothing they love more than a dead body to leverage into power. They were probably cheering when they saw the parachutes. You've got dead bodies, and they use them as trampolines. And it's usually black. It's the same, but now we're seeing the Palestinian protests. And Matt Walsh had a great post on it where he was like, this is the exact same group of Black Lives Matter. It's anti-West. Even though I might align with them a little bit on this, I don't rock with them like that, because what their movement really is an anti-Western culture, anti-white movement. That's all it is. Let me show you how goofy it is. And I'm going to get back into my theme here. I try to fit these little cuts or whatever in with the theme. And so this is Bizarro World right here. Let's go to New York. And let's look at Timcast News. Shout out to Elad Allahu. I've completely apologized. I am one of the worst. I used to be believe it or not, I used to be decent at pronouncing people's names back in the day. I used to take pride in that. I think when you get old, you just don't care. There's no offense to Elad. I can't pronounce anybody's name right. Elad Eliyahu. Elad is what I will say. And doing good work with, been doing great work. He's the one that got the We're Coming for Your Kids that went viral even on commercial media. You look at Tim Pool, he's putting together like a hell of a group of people he works with. I mean, it's It's wild. Like when you look at like his team and everybody he's got going on over there, man, from Brett Dasevec to redheaded Josie, the redheaded libertarian, to Hannah Claire, to Ian, to Phil Labonte, to and Luke is not hired by him, but associated with him. And even though I'm on the different side of certain issue with Daily Wire, I've always liked Daily Wire. You look at their lineup, he's cool with them. It's wild, man. He's got a hell of a family, coaching tree. You could look at that, and it's just crazy. I'm going to get to this clip in a second, but I mean, you look at pop culture crisis, and I mean, he's got some really special people working for him. Okay, so let's look at this. The pro-Palestine protesters converge at the door of Representative Richie Torres, who went full Israel support. And you're seeing kind of that fracturing that you're seeing on the Republican side. You're seeing it on the Democrat side. And they ran up on his office and they said the people of the Bronx, this is the weird part of it, the people of the Bronx don't have food, just like the people in Gaza. Well, maybe we should focus on the people in the Bronx then. Why are you focusing on something 6,000 miles away from you and your people can't eat? I know that we're a loving country and all of that, but they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first, even if it's not my position, but even if you want to talk about and help another country, then make sure that you have your oxygen mask on first.
The people of the Bronx, we have so much in common with the Palestinians.
Yeah, you do.
Okay? The people of the Bronx are oppressed by the occupying force of the NYPD.
Oh, so it's not. You see,
just like the Palestinians.
You see why it always falls short. And don't deal with this oppressor and occupied, whatever. Just ignore that. But they say that this is they're occupied. You're occupied by the Democratic Party is what you're occupied by. That's what our whole country is occupied, if you want to use that term. But no, they don't go to that. They go to the NYPD, and to my knowledge, the NYPD endorsed Donald Trump. It's almost like a missile. Like they want to fire a shot at the bow, but it's got to curve around the Democrat Party machine. That's why I said they're having fractures. These are really real fractures. But until you hear that side there, and we're getting there though, this is how it would start. We're not there yet, but for them to say that, and for them to say like we're occupied, and to acknowledge we don't have anything to eat, pretty soon someone in that crowd's going to be like, why are we worried about the police again? Like if something pops off, that's who I'm calling. What about the mayor? What about the governor? The governor was in Israel. I'm pro-Palestine. But wait, what else is the governor not in my best interests on? It will progress to that. So it does fit with my theme here that the American equivocation era is over, and that includes these people. They're not there yet, but baby steps. Help them along the way.
Palestinians are occupied and oppressed by the Israeli occupation forces. The people of the Bronx don't have food, just like the people in Gaza. The people of the Bronx don't have electricity, just like the people of Gaza. The people of the Bronx don't have clean water, just like the people of Gaza. So we're out here to say that Richie Torres does not speak for us. He does not represent
So now they are going after a Democrat, and he's a rising star in the Democrat Party. I affectionately, jokingly call him Hakeem Jeffries Jr., and he's following that same arc, just trying to be like a fake Hakeem Jeffries, in my opinion.
The Bronx. I want you to clap really loud if you're from the Bronx and you agree that Richie Torres is the best
So that's a good sign there. I want to hear you do Chuck Schumer next and others, but that's a good sign. When you look at this intersectionality battle that they're having, it doesn't. I've talked about this before. The battle of this identity, fat identity, skinny identity, Islam identity, Jewish identity, black identity. When they're battling over identity, which is what's happening now, it's the same battle from when Jonathan Greenblatt was on the Breakfast Club. When you're battling over identity, the part that you want to see happen is when an identity leaves the clan. So the identity isn't battling in the totem pole anymore. The identity is saying, F your totem pole. So what that would look like is F all of y'all. And it's not there yet, but we are seeing some things. I saw this from Penn University. It looks like Penn University is going to lose a little bit of their endowment. Let's take a look and see. This is via the Washington Examiner. This is the left side of things, or the corporate side. Israeli war billionaire Ron Lauder to yank, come here, UPenn funding over anti-Semitism concerns. Whoa. Now we're talking about some money. Money. That matters a little bit. We'll see what happens if it's just a threat, if he'll bring it back. But this is the heir to the Estee Lauder cosmetic empire, pulling that money, huge margins on the cosmetics. The 79-year-old former U.S. States ambassador to Austria is cutting financial support to UPenn, barring the Ivy League institution being more. This is basically because he wants them to be more pro-Israel. So he was a Republican mega donor and president of the World Jewish Congress, an international organization, previously said in a letter to UPenn he would re-examine his donations. I spent the last 40 years of my life fighting anti-Semitism all over the world. I never in my wildest imagination thought I would have to fight it at my own university, my alma mater, my family's alma mater. So these are the same people from Black Lives Matter and all that. He's a Republican, I guess, donor. I don't know much about him. But you can see that now it's like, wait a second, I've got to pull back. And it's almost like I'm going to check y'all. Don't go after me. Black Lives Matter, they still would get together for that because the point of that was to get Donald Trump, is to get Donald Trump out of office. It had nothing to do with black people. Not even really a true Marxist type of, the ideology they used was, but the end goal at the end of the day, they tried to use chaos and all that, but the end goal for the chaos was actually just to get Trump out of office. It wasn't trying to build down or take down the bourgeoisie. Obviously not, because they were siphoning that money off the top, off the rip. We know that they were getting down with that money. They were not playing. So let's take a look here. Louder with Louder. Rick G's got jokes. Louder with Crowder. A Ray Xfinity Show says, as a Christian, being pro-Israel works for America's interest. And you can make that argument. I'm not sold on it because I'm coming at from it from a different angle. The topics that I talk about on this live are topics that somebody who is my ally would help me with. And I don't want to be any enemy to Israel, but they are not an ally to any of those major issues, any issue, quite frankly, that I care about. But you're talking about it works best for America's interest from a biblical. I don't even know if there's an argument outside of the biblical. Let me know if you have one, because I respect the biblical argument. I don't think that overrides humans. I think the land is going to be there. They're not going to be able to destroy the land. but I understand it's supposed to be Jewish land, and that has ramifications and revelations and such. But that's a biblical argument. Is there an argument outside of a biblical argument for Israel? Because I'm not going down I'm not going with the biblical argument on it, and that's why. So it's not even. So it's a weird thing because it's not even like a disagreement. I don't think, because to me a disagreement would be, it is disagreeing, but it's different because it would be more like if you're taking the same route, we're in the same realm, and because Ukraine, we agree on Ukraine because there's no biblical argument for Ukraine. So we're taking two different routes. It's like, okay, here's the issue. Israel, there's biblical concerns. Because here's the thing. If I took the biblical fork in the road, then I would agree completely. I'm just not taking the biblical fork in the road. I'm going with this is a human battle, and it's a battle with humans, and the land's there. I mean, even if Muslims take over the land is still the land. Aliens could come on the earth and take over all the land, but that's still Israel. It's still where those historical moments happened, even if you call it something else, even if you change the borders. So I think what I would need to be convinced of is that I would need to go down the biblical path on it. So I think that's more where that one is coming from. But as you can see, there is that kind of divide happening, and we also are seeing that with people that these are not people who necessarily would have been rocking with each other, but these are two anti-establishment figures who are going heads up, and it's happening every day. Like it's every day. It's different people that I respect that are going straight heads up. Phil Labonte of Timcast just got word. He said, just got word. Jackson Hinkle, and this is a tough one. When I said that we should embrace debate, y'all took it seriously. And I agree with it. I didn't say it was going to be easy to watch people I respect. And I'm like, shoot, we should be on the same side here on this or maybe not. But it's tough to see this. These are two anti-establishment people. Phil Labonte, more libertarian. Jackson Hinkle, more former leftist, kind of like me, actually. I would say I'm more aligned with Jackson Hinkle. Doesn't have any libertarianism in him, though. Jackson Hinkle would be like my, much smarter, got debate dude, all that. But so I'm just saying, with the way that we view the world, I align closely with Jackson Hinkle if you take away the libertarian part of it. I would be very close to him. But when you add in the libertarian part, I'm kind of in the middle of both of them. And I respect both of them, so this is kind of hard to see. I didn't know they had beef from before. This is not even actually new. Some of it's new, but it looks like they had beef from when he was on the show, and that was like September or something. That was a while ago. Just got word that Jackson Hinkle is a biatch. Ooh. We're starting to... This is like, oh, I don't want to... It's not bad. I mean, we're grown-ass men, but it's just like, woo. And off to a good start. And no longer wants to debate me on the Culture War podcast, which would have been a great discussion. He wants his buddy Haas to do it for him. Oh, gosh. The debate's got to be one-on-one, Jackson. Phil goes on to say he was talking all kinds of shit a month ago. Oh, man, I didn't even know they had got into it a month ago. And he said, this is before the Israel stuff. And I think the debate is supposed to be over Israel, though, if I'm not mistaken. And he sends a message, and I quote, "I'll sit this one out then, just have Haas do it." And I get it, because sometimes your mouth will get you into something that you can't live up to, maybe because he's doing a lot. I mean, to get ready for a debate takes a lot of work. So he might be doing a lot of getting, it might just take too much time to, almost like a boxing match. Unless you're like really great at it. I mean, Destiny puts a lot of work into his stuff. I mean, Destiny puts time. You will not hear me say Destiny is not a knowledgeable person. And researching, yeah. I mean, that's part of the debate culture that they have is like you come prepared. If you don't come prepared, that's disrespectful. And it might be difficult for Jackson Hinkle to do that. And I think he's being pretty successful on X. I don't know how much of his stuff's going to get monetized because I heard that the Israeli stuff is not going to get monetized, but that's going to be difficult because that's all my feed is basically. But Jackson, you got to do a one-on-one, man. You can't bring in Haas to debate with you, man. It's just not. And it wasn't going to be 2-on-1. It was going to be Jackson Hinkle and Haas versus Tim and Phil. And I was like, nah, man, this is too much. It's hard enough 1v1, much less 4 people, 4 very opinionated, knowledgeable people that all want to talk. Like, who's going to moderate that? And then Jackson Hinkle shows out the text messages. And that's the homie. I would never, I go out of the way because there's people I actually monetarily support that have blocked me on X. And I think it's because I don't like to always say, well, I don't mean this, or I'm a big fan here, because it sounds, I don't know, just kind of lame. But basically, I don't care if somebody blocks me. It's just, it is, I don't want someone to block me for a misunderstanding. Like, if you're going to block me, then that's fine, as long as you understand I was going hard, or I didn't mean, not disrespect, but I didn't mean this. What you thought was what I meant, And that's not what's happening. So I gotta always kind of be like, oh, I'm a big fan or something to say like, hey, don't block me over this. But I will have to give you the feedback. So I did. I didn't add him. I should have added him. Jackson Hinkle, and said, you got to do 1v1, man. I don't blame Phil to be like, wait a second, me and you had beef. Why is Haas coming into this? I really don't have beef with Haas. And then Phil's like, you gave proof that you spoke with Lisa, not that I agreed to it. And basically Phil's saying like, wait a second. I'm not looking to debate Haas. Like, I don't even care about Haas. Maybe he would another time, but he's like, you had beef with me. And it got kind of, I was like, easy guys. I'm not going to put that part out there, but Phil was like, when you came through the crib, you were soft spoken, and I was like, ooh, the word soft is kind of, ooh, this, come on. And then I forgot what else, but it got it back and forth where I was like, okay, let's keep it on P. The one thing that I do want to see with this decentralization is, well, it has to be, it has to come with peace. And shout out to this Groiper here. Groiper Army. The Groipers are great, man. I'm a big fan of the Groipers. I think you all know. Del Groip posted, hey, and I didn't know this, Jackson Hinkle tried to pull the same thing on Nick Fuentes. So it's obviously, I'm sorry, this is a pattern now. This is a Jackson Hinkle thing.
So he challenged me to a debate. I accepted. And then he says, well, 2v2 or nothing. Me and Haas versus you and Keith or nothing. And I said, no. You challenged me. You debate me one-on-one. He's like, why? What, are you afraid of Haas? I'm like, I have no beef with Haas. Haas didn't call me out. You called me out. You called me out. You want to debate about Hitler or the Nazis or something, or Oliver Anthony, you debate me. I said, you don't get help. I said, and I don't need Keith. Not that I don't like him, but you know what I mean? Like, it's one-on-one. I got challenged.
Talking about Keith
I'm answering
Woods.
the challenge. He's like, well, I'm not doing it unless it's me and Haas. Really, nigga? So, like, that's just so fucking bitch made. How are you going to challenge someone to a debate and then insist and say, no, we have to have our helpers. We have to have our helpers. One-on-one, what are you afraid of, pussy? 1v1 me. If you are going to call me out and challenge me, then debate me one-on-one. I don't need a partner. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is. This is 1v1. Hey, come on, Jackson. And Jackson's a great debate guy. He doesn't need any help. So that's what makes it confusing. And maybe he's just kind of out of that game. Just stay out the game then. You don't need to be in the debate. Like Tim was out of the debate game for a while, and he still is, but then that's what the culture war was. I think he wanted to get back into that a little bit because he had that debate with the leftist, I forget. But that kind of got him back into the debate game. That's my nigga Dick. He'll drop a little N-word in there. Jordan Lott. Dang, this getting real. Cage match. No, Phil, easy. Phil, I don't blame you. I'm on your side. Phil Labonte. You are 100% right on this one. There is no question. I'm looking for a 1v1, bro. This ain't I don't know why you bringing other niggas into our beef. That's not going to work. It's 1v1. And then after I'm done with you, maybe I'll go to Haas. But we need to hash this out. And I agree with that. But just easy, Phil. Easy, Phil. I think Phil, I don't know Phil, but I think he comes across as a really reasonable, he's very strong and principled. And we agree on a lot of stuff. But let's easy. I was like, easy, fellas. Just easy. I have to be careful too, because I can't tell grown men how to operate. But I'm just like, come on, let's be on peace. We want peace. But that's part of what's happening. That's part of the story of the tension of kind of this era that we're in. The term American equivocation, and if you just joined, the term is signifying that it is over. It encapsulates the era where adversarial forces, like Israel, masqueraded as allies, exploiting the nation's benevolence, and others, CCP and others, but I don't know if they're necessarily masquerading as allies, but they are exploiting the nation's benevolence as a vulnerability. The crux of this phase was the clandestine alliance profiteering from overseas conflicts while simultaneously undermining the democratic fabric through electoral manipulations on home soil. So the same people who are profiteering off of the wars are the same people who are manipulating the election at home. This era fostered a culture that bred discord, yet the same discord now paves the way for a decentralized America. What you're seeing with these different beef, the Richie Torres office, all of that's what decentralization looks like. So I'm like really happy right now. I'm not going to lie about the atmosphere we're in. I'm really happy. Embodying an evolutionary pathway that dismantles undue influences. The unfolding divergence, and I wrote this with ChatGPT, like I write everything. The unfolding divergence within the nation, witnessed among individuals previously united, marks a robust phase. It signifies the cessation of adversarial forces cosplaying as allies, exploiting American, pride in kindness, tolerance. The discord, this kind of beef and this discussion and debate has to remain peaceful, and that's where we want to go. This decentralization. Decentralization is not just a buzzword, it is a reflective process that challenges the status quo. That's why we're seeing this. There's people challenging, why is Israel an ally? Maybe it could be convinced and change my mind. I'm always leaving room to be wrong and to be open. You're challenging the status quo, though. The current scenario unfolds much like the essence of decentralization in action, where the discussion, albeit peaceful, is dismantling all of these things, and we debate it, and then we try to put it back together to where we can. It is also diverging away from centralized power. That's why I like the deep fakes. I am a fan of the deep fakes. The deep fakes represent decentralization of power. If I can make a deep fake, just like I saw that 3 months ago, or not 3 months, but let's say 6 months ago, I would have never looked at that Hillary Clinton video that we started the live with as a deep fake. I would have been like, yeah, that's the video, no doubt. And now I'm looking at the rubble in Gaza. All of it could be a deep fake. I'm looking at everything that it could be a deep fake. I'm not even assuming any video I see is anything other than a deep fake. And well, I'm not assuming it is a deep fake, but I'm not assuming that anything isn't one as well. And there was a video that came out with Greta Thunberg, and he came out and people didn't understand. I had to even tell. I said it in the original post. I said the video. I basically said it was a deep fake, and then I had to. Even though I look at this, even though I said it was a deep fake in the original. Let me find. I have it here ready. Let me find it. So even though I said it was a deep fake, take a look at this. This is my post. I said these deep fakes. Also, there is a community note on it now. It's not my video, but the community note goes with it, huh? Yeah, okay. These deep fakes are getting so good, and I love it. If this is what randos online can do, what can the government do? And this is Greta Thunberg, and everything you see here, most everything you see here is fake. The voice and then the mouth in particular to make it look like she's talking.
War is always bad, specifically for the planet. If we want to continue fighting battles like environmentally conscious humans, we must make the change to sustainable tanks and weaponry. There are so many new concepts for battery-powered fighter jets that can carry many more missiles, biodegradable missiles, of course. Something literally everybody can do to stop this nonsense is, for example, block the roads to gardens and farms so the plants don't get overrun by these heavy, heavy tanks. Hand grenades, very important. If you use hand grenades, please use vegan grenades. No animal should have to give their life for all this mayhem and chaos. They have a special sticker on them. You really can't miss them in the grenade market or wherever you buy them. Yeah, I cover all of this and more in my newest book, Vegan Wars.
I ordered Willy magazine.
So you have this little Willy.
Snick Link.
You got Snick Link Willy there. And I said these deep fakes are getting so good. There's quite a few, and I don't blame the people. There's quite a few people who thought that being as goofy, biodegradable, bombs or whatever, missiles or whatever, very just satire type stuff. They didn't know if it was real or not. I don't know how the programs I use for AI, they don't read it that well. But if you go in and put commas in the right place, you can tweak it, but that takes a lot of time unless they have a way to streamline it. So I had to go underneath it. The community note was not there when the last time I looked at this, or when I wrote this. I said I should have stated this clear. This is not a real video. I'm pointing out how good fake videos are getting. And the point that I'm bringing that back to is because it is decentralizing power. And I'm going to go through, wow, this live is going later than I thought, because I got to a late start. So I'm going to go through, read the rest of the American Equivocation is over, and then I want to talk about Jenna Ellis, and then I will be out. What's going on here? This decentralized power. We're moving away to localized people being able to make their own videos, deep fakes or not, or whatever. What's happening in Gaza is not American, but you're seeing localized power taking down politically the public relations of just regular Gazans are beating Israel. And that's really where they want to win this war, actually. It's an evolutionary pathway that's dismantling the undue influence of the people who are running the world. I said that it's not organic to concern oneself with pictures of dead babies 7,000 miles away. Really. So that's not organic. Why am I saying that? Because the devices we have are made by people who have children who got enslaved, get paid $1 a day. So you would, if it was organic that you're upset about that, then it would be organic that you would be upset about your devices. So something's not adding up there. Let me continue on. It's not organic to concern oneself with the casualties of the Great Semite War, while nefarious partnerships between gangs and politicians drive once picturesque urban havens in America into abysses of despair, stacking thousands of bodies through the course of the year. You have gangs buying off the politicians, allowing corruption, and the gangs rule, these flash mobs rule the cities, and of course the people who have money, for the most part, are able to stay clear of it. Definitely the people who are making the decisions, they don't, for the most part, get hemmed up by the results of their decisions. The imagery of overseas tragedies often hijacks the national discord. Yet a grave reality lurks within the homeland. Take, for instance, the education debacle in Baltimore, where a staggering 77% of high school students exhibited a reading comprehension at the elementary level. Such domestic adversities underscore the necessity to shift focus from external calamities to internal reform. The pursuit of external validation through global alliances and interventions has cost the nation its focus on domestic empowerment and community-driven growth. A staggering 77% couldn't read. For those seeking tragedy porn, one need not venture far. This shift in focus, although harsh, accentuates an urgent need, prioritizing domestic interests, empowering local communities, and moral principles over the apprehension of estranging external entities. The fading resonance of the Make America Great Again movement is not an end, but a precursor to a nascent ethos that will navigate the American society through uncharted terrains with a firm, unequivocal stance. Through this lens, the ongoing, back and forth that we're seeing right now is not a disintegration, but a metamorphosis toward a resolute, decentralized America. And now I'm going to go to Jenna Ellis and I will be out. Wait, we got racist. Whoa. What's going on? TNT Cycles PDX. Hopefully it's not. Speaking of back and forth, hopefully the chat is on piece. I mean, I didn't know there was going to be racists up in here. Amber. Hi, Amber. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to end with Jenna Ellis and I'll be out. The Jenna Ellis debacle is, and this is not going to be the big focus on what happened with Jenna Ellis, and I'll get into that right now. The big focus on what happened with her is not for me to go after her. I do have some questions about, is she controlled opposition, just like Ray Studio says, but I don't know what that's worth. That's not really the most important thing to talk about here. That's not the most important thing, even though that could be the thing. That could be a thing. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing to talk about is what happened with her from start to finish. Let's do this. Let's get into it. Jenna Ellis, a DeSantis backing lawyer who was indicted as a part of Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fannie, and I'm trying to say Fannie in a way that it means ass, this ass crack of a district attorney, Fannie Willis. I hear she doesn't like that she's getting teased online. That pretty much means you're going to get teased more online. The RICO case against former President Donald Trump has pleaded out, this is Jenna Ellis, has pleaded out to a single felony charge that she made false, this is actually written incorrectly. So many people are getting that wrong. She pleaded out to aiding and abetting Giuliani and whatever Smith in them making false statements. She never admitted that she made false statements. She's just admitting that she helped them make false statements. And this is falling apart very quickly. And it is a disaster. And the biggest takeaway, believe it or not, for me, is we have citizens in this country, or just people that are in this country, and people in the world too, but I'm more concerned about people in this country who don't know what's happening with the Jenna Ellis case, and they're cheering on her prosecution. That is a phenomenon that needs to be studied. If I don't know what's going on with somebody's court case, I'm not. So what's happening is people are relying on what they hear on the news. And there's a lot of headlines that said, well, Jenna Ellis pled guilty to lying. She did not. She was never charged on that. That was never in the indictment. And in the plea, it's not in there either. Whether these are fake tears or not, they could be real tears from me, because it does represent a big step down in our country.
As an attorney who is also a Christian, I take my responsibilities as a lawyer very seriously, and I endeavor to be a person of sound moral and ethical character in all of my dealings. In the wake of the 2020 presidential election, I believed that challenging the results on behalf of President Trump should be pursued in a just and legal way. I endeavored to represent my client to the best of my ability. I relied on others, including lawyers with many more years of experience than I, to provide me with true and reliable information, especially since my role involved speaking to the media and to legislators in various states. What I did not do, but should have done, Your Honor, was to make sure that the facts the other lawyers alleged to be true were in fact true. In the frenetic pace of attempting to raise challenges to the election in several states, including Georgia, I failed to do my due diligence. I believe in and I value election integrity. If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump in these post-election challenges. I look back on this whole experience with deep remorse. For those failures of mine, Your Honor, I have taken responsibility already before the Colorado bar who censured me, and I now take responsibility before this court and apologize to the people of Georgia. Thank you.
That was, I said it's not going to be the biggest part of it, but for some reason, this is what I want to talk about for a second. Those don't sound like real. They don't, I thought that was fake. Let me just flat out say it. And Laura Loomer was right about Jenna Ellis. I always knew that this is where it was most likely going to go. Everybody knew that it was that's the whole point of making a RICO case. You've got 19 people wrapped up into the same, I believe it's 19 people. I mean, they had mysterious, I forgot the term, independent person, mystery person, 26, 29. I don't know if I got the numbers right. I have to double check that. But you wrap up all those people in, I thought it was the Georgia 19, into a RICO charge. Then obviously what you're looking at is it's like 19 people in a room together looking to see who's going to rat first. And I don't think there's a rat here. There's nothing to rat on. But you know what I mean? Who's going to take a plea first? Because if you don't take the plea first and then you see other people take the plea and then you're like, can I get a plea too? They're going to be like, no, we got them to take the plea to send you up the river. That's what the whole point of the RICO was. It doesn't even matter if the charges are right. It doesn't matter what's in there. The charges could have been completely bogus. Number one, they're in Fulton County. If you're MAGA or associated with the MAGA as much as Jenna Ellis is now DeSantis, the Fulton County jury doesn't know or care. They think DeSantis is a white supremacist. Believe it or not, Jamal Bowman walked up to Byron Donalds on the Capitol steps and said that Ron DeSantis was a white supremacist. He knows that's not true, but my point is that his constituents don't. They believe it's true. So now we have Jenna Ellis, who is fake crying. She is controlled opposition. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm not paid to look into this stuff. And I looked into it, and none of it makes any sense. So I know for a fact she knows it doesn't make any sense. And then she raised money, and if you know it doesn't make any sense, you're going to fight it. If that was Robert Barnes, why isn't Robert Barnes on the? I don't want Robert Barnes. That's the American Patriot, Robin Barnes. But what if it was Robert Barnes up there? Robert Barnes would have been fighting this to the last word, and they wouldn't want those problems with him. And she's not stupid. This is an act. This is just like that the black cop, the white cop, and Adam Kinzinger when they were crying in the J6 hearing. She is, and I've kind of liked Jenna Ellis. Like, she says stuff that I agree with, and I think that's a break that's not being put back together. I don't think I'm going to be able to put that back to. I don't know her. I'm just saying, like, as far as following her, I'm out. This looks fake, and I'll tell you what I'm seeing here. Looking into the actual indictment. That's where you have to start with this stuff, because what they're doing is all they were trying to do is get an indictment. Then after that, you can, off of the poisonous tree, you can bear different fruit. That's what we're seeing here. So I was posing these questions online, and it's online, so I don't think people were fully understanding. I asked the question of, well, the big question I asked is, what did she do that was illegal? No one can answer that question. But then the other questions that I asked was, do you think this prosecution is just? And I haven't spoken about everybody's prosecution, because everybody's in that 19 is a little bit different than the other, and I don't even know all of them in that 19. I just, found out about some of the people in there. So I don't talk about them or much at all. I do know from the Trump standpoint, completely bunk, because I looked into it. The Jenna Ellis one is one that I particularly looked into very closely with the indictment, because I went through it and I couldn't understand why she was in there. It's a glaring situation. I mean, it's staring you in the face. It's so corrupt. And that's where I'm going to pick it up here. I'm going to show the indictment, and we're going to get into the weeds a little bit. We have to. So you can imagine me going through this document. This was in August. I was doing this a little bit in September, and I haven't picked it up again until today, but I remember it. So you got all the names. I want to focus on Jenna Ellis right now. That's why I said, and the reason why I put it out to people was I wanted to know who was going to say they agreed with her prosecution that didn't even know what was in the indictment. So you might say, I don't agree with the prosecution, but maybe they have more than they put in the indictment. Okay, that's fine. But do you know what's in the indictment? So let's look. This is Georgia, mind you. This is not a federal trial. This is Georgia, the state of Georgia. So why in the state of Georgia do I see other states brought up? If you look at this, Act 2 here, Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, and I think that's it there. These are in the charges in the Georgia indictment. Appeared, spoke, and presented witnesses at a meeting of Pennsylvania legislators. Why are they talking about Pennsylvania? It's right here. It's unbelievable. This is old news. This is from August. But why are they talking about Pennsylvania legislators in a Georgia case? That's just complete nonsense. It's just complete nonsensical. That doesn't make any sense. Georgia, it has nothing to do with Georgia. She's not even charged on that in Pennsylvania. She hasn't even been found guilty on anything for that in Pennsylvania. Why is it coming up in Georgia? Act 9, this is a different one. Pennsylvania again. Just, if you haven't seen this, it's just shocking. And this one here, Pennsylvania again, left a voicemail. They put in their indictment, they placed a telephone call to the Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. What does that have to do with Georgia? Again, we're looking at Pennsylvania. Again, a telephone call. So I'm looking at this is just complete garbage. It's complete junk. It's not worth, I wouldn't wipe my ass with this indictment. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand looking at this. That makes no sense at all. You could only do it under a RICO conspiracy type case. Pennsylvania mentioned again. What's mentioned now? Notice nothing about Georgia's mentioned yet. Like her doing anything with Georgia. Arizona is now mentioned. She appeared, spoke, and presented witnesses at a meeting. It didn't even say she lied. It didn't even say. It said Rudy made false statements. These are false statements that I'm going to get to, particularly with Georgia. It didn't even say Jenna Ellis went to Arizona and lied to Arizona's legislators. It just said she went there and spoke. Look, went there, spoke, and presented witnesses at a meeting of Arizona. What does that have to do with anything? So what? What's even illegal about that? That's crazy. So you see, they got her on just complete, it's just complete made up nonsense. Arizona again. I'm just searching on her name in the document. Arizona again. This time we come up with another state, Michigan. Now we're talking about what she appeared, spoke, and presented at Michigan. The Jenna Ellis indictment is really, it's really something special. And then now we get to, on the 3rd day of December, John Eastman, Jenna Ellis, John Eastman, who's a great lawyer, Ray Smith III, committed the felony offense of solicitation of violation of oath by public officer in Fulton County, Georgia, by unlawfully soliciting, requesting, and importuning certain public officers then serving as elected members of Georgia Senate and present at Senate Judiciary Subcommittee hearing. So now we went down to Act 23 before we hear anything on there. And what's on there? It's just Rudy, John Eastman, Jenna Ellis, all mixed in for the offense of solicitation of violation of oath. That's not saying that she went and lied to the Georgia Senate. Act 107 wrote a memorandum. This one is just one of those generic ones. This is so crazy. She wrote basically a letter that talked about the Electoral College vote count and the strategy of, hey, this is where they're saying overturn. That's not a legal term. To say you're overturning the election, that's not even a term that doesn't have any meaning legally. And I don't think they put that in here, but that's what you hear on TV is what they're talking about. So the act that they're talking about is furtherance of a conspiracy. Going down, her name's only mentioned 2 more times. I'm almost done with that. We're doing a deep dive here. So they bring in this one here, they bring in the memorandum. So it's another letter. That's all it is. It's just, a text message, basically a letter. Outlined a strategy for disrupting and delaying the joint session of Congress. So what? What does that have to do with Georgia? And then this is the last time. Oh, no, that's the same. We already looked at that one. So those are the counts there. That's what they have on the indictment for her. Here's what she pled to. So the indictment itself is complete, just utter trash, garbage. So I ask you, what did she do illegal? You read the indictment, there's nothing, there's nothing in there that you would say, oh, she did that, that's what it was illegal. It's all acts of a conspiracy. What's the conspiracy? So her part of it is very problematic, and you could tell if she wanted to fight it, it would be obvious right there to fight. What is all this? So this is her plea. So what she pled to was aiding and abetting false statements and writings. This is not her saying that she made false statements in writing. She never said that. She would never say that. It's not in there. What it's saying is that basically she helped Rudy Giuliani and Ray Stallings Smith. She helped them lie. Or when they didn't use the word lie, make false statements. That's very. So now I ask people, what did she do illegal? Then they said, well, she pled guilty. And I say, what did she do that was illegal? What did she plead guilty to? She played, you see the levels of the onion and why I'm hyped about this? The levels of the onion, the indictment is just complete trash. There's nothing in there. So then she pleads guilty. So then people can say, well, oh, she pled guilty, so she had to have done something wrong, right? And then I ask, well, what did she do wrong? And then they say, well, it's what she pled guilty for that she did wrong. And then I say, well, do you know what she pled guilty for? And then they say, well, she pled guilty for aiding and abetting. And then I say, aiding and abetting what? False statements. What are the false statements? You won't believe this. Some of the statements that they say that she did plead guilty for they have never been adjudicated. They've never been looked at. How are we saying that these are false statements? What, from who? These are not statements. This is not the Kraken. This is not the, Sidney Powell was doing like the Venezuela and all that stuff. That's not what this is. The first statement is that this is what they're saying that was false. This is what she pled to. So this is what she did. She didn't say these things. She helped other people. You see the layers? She helped other people say these things. What things did she help other people say? That at least 96,000 mail-in ballots were counted in the 2020 election in Georgia, despite there being no record of those ballots being returned to the county elections office. So basically what she's saying is that there are ballots that didn't get mailed out, basically. You have almost 100,000 mail-in ballots that have no record of those ballots being returned to an elections office. So they got mailed in, and it would be similar to like Arizona, where Runbeck allegedly, remember the Katie Hobbs defense in Arizona said that if somebody at Runbeck had introduced ballots out of the chain of custody, then it still would have been signature verified. Same thing here. What a coincidence. Arizona had that problem. They both used Dominion, and none of this is really even Dominion here, but I mean, just what a coincidence. And then Arizona's in the document. So that right there has never been proven false. It's actually in a challenge that was brought by the great patriot Robert Barnes. Robert Barnes, well, it was a team that put it together. He was a part of the team. Notice he didn't get hemmed up on the charges because they didn't want the problems that he would have presented. That's why. That's why he didn't get hemmed up on charges. Now, he didn't go in with Cindy Powell and on them. He didn't want to rock with them. So I'm not even an expert in the stuff she said because I never gravitated to her like that. But Robert Barnes was a part of a challenge, and that challenge never got heard. Let me repeat that. The challenge never got heard. And what's in the challenge? Every single one of these points is in the challenge that Robert Barnes brought to Georgia that they never heard. And Georgia's saying these are false. These have never been proven false. How are they false? They've never been looked at in the court of law. They've never been under oath, never been went on the scrutiny of under oath. When they went under oath in Arizona, things got funny real quickly. People switching up stories and all kinds of stuff. That 2,500 felons voted. Now, felons should be able to vote after they do their time. There's no argument for me that I will accept for somebody I don't care what they did. If you did your time and you come out, you're a full-blown citizen. But that's not the law. That 2,500 felons voted illegally in the November 3rd, 2020 election. That's in Robert Barnes's breakdown, and it was never, and Robert Barnes has exhibits there proving it, in, at least in his case, never heard. That 66,000 underage people illegally registered to vote. Sue me. Georgia, sue me if you disagree. I know you haven't done any of this, haven't looked at any of this under oath in a court of law. So these are not false statements. Who said these are false statements? So you see why I say Jenna Ellis is a controlled op. Jenna Ellis, there's nothing I'm telling you right now that Jenna Ellis doesn't know. She's fake crying. She's a controlled op, a part of this. Allegedly. At least 2,400 people voted in Georgia who are not listed as registered to vote. 1,000 people voted in the election who illegally registered to vote using a post office box, not a real address. That 10,000 or more dead people voted. That's all confirmed. At least but that's confirmed by Robert Barnes and those who looked into it. Never confirmed by Georgia. That Fulton County election workers at State Farm ordered poll watchers and members of the media to leave the tabulation area. We all know that that's true. So I don't know why that's in there as a false. There's this document here. If you want to know this document, I'm going to put it on the Discord right now. If you want to, it's a link to the locals, so you have to sign up to Robert Barnes locals. But yeah, it's I don't know if you have to be a member though, because I am a member of Robert Barnes locals. So let me see. I don't know if you have to be a member. I'll still put it in there, and if you want to be a member, you can be a member of Robert Barnes locals. Let me get to it here. Let's get over to, so I'm on the locals right now. I'm going to put it in the politics. This is a link to the tweet. Let me get a link to the actual locals so you get there directly. Okay. This is, I do have a locals as well. So if you sign up for locals for this, then look, the locals is still stuck in the mid, but actually you can search middle MAGA now. I did update that on the locals. And if you want email alerts when I go live, locals would be the way. I've still been kind of hesitant to do the emails from the website, even though I've got a few people that signed up to blast those. If I want to do them, I want them to make them look good, at least, or try to, but simple. So it's on the Discord. The link's on the Discord right now to the Robert Barnes Georgia election contest. And if you go into it, you'll see they've got this was never heard. They got everything in here that I've already gone through and looked at it to confirm. Every single one of the points that they said was false. They said every one of the points they said was false is in here. This is from the Robert Barnes and others election challenge. At approximately 10 p.m. Why do you think they didn't hear it? Because they knew that it was true. At approximately 10 p.m. on the election night, Fulton County election officials who were handling and scanning thousands of ballots at the State Farm Arena instructed Republican poll watchers and the press that they were finished working for the day, and the Republican poll watchers and the press were to leave. And they didn't hear it. So now they didn't hear it. So now they're going back and saying it's not true. It's false. I want to know what Robert Barnes, he's talked about this before, but this Sunday, they're probably going to have to go pretty deep into the Jenna Ellis stuff. Because he's one of the most knowledgeable people in the world on what happened there. He was a part of all this. So hopefully I did a good enough job explaining why there's multiple problems here. Jenna Ellis herself is a problem. Anybody who doesn't know the level of detail that I just gave you there and cheers on Jenna Ellis fake crying and getting hemmed up in order to flip on Donald Trump, there's something mentally wrong with you. Because if there's a case I don't know about, I'm going to say, well, it might look like this, it might look like that, but I don't know anything, so I'm not going to cheer it on, or I'm not going to say it's right for that person to be prosecuted. That's what you see why I call it a persecution. You do a RICO case. The RICO case was not even supposed to be used for this. You look at Jenna Ellis. There's more discussion about what she did, and there's at least an order of magnitude more discussion about what she did in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona than what happened in Georgia. Then she flips and does a deal where she didn't lie. She just helped as a lawyer. So what was illegal about the act of helping them? Even if it was false, that's not illegal. And she's a lawyer. What do you mean? A lawyer lying. Oh goodness. No, what? No, what? And she didn't even do that I saw on any of this. So she pled to that. And then she's a lawyer. She didn't even say anything negative, or she didn't say a lie. She helped somebody else say a lie as a lawyer. And then I look into the things they call false and a lie, and none of them are proven to be lies. Other than that, the indictment's perfectly on the up and up. I don't want to get feedback and see like people are looking at me like I'm crazy, and I don't get it. But I have to tell myself, if they haven't looked at it, it doesn't matter if you haven't looked at it in that level of detail. If you have a legit concern, either it's legit or not. There's no in between on this. Either you have a legit concern or you don't. I'm going to take a look at the comments. But I this really bothered me. Just looking at it really, really bothered me. Let me take a look at the comments and I'll be out. Thanks all. Hanging out on Tuesday. Well, now it's clearly into Wednesday. It's truly a morning spice. Metalopoly. And so what are they talking about? All right, going to bed. Take care, Metalopoly. Peace. Ray Studio says that Palestinians shouldn't have even been brought up, but they always were. We still talk about that. Locals, that's the... Tulsi went on there. It's really Dave Rubin's site, Jordan Lott. It's a great site. My only problem with Locals is that going live on Locals, I can't use a background. I haven't seen a way to do it. I can't go live simultaneously. That's my problem with D Live too. I could go and stream on D Live, but they don't let you I think they say you have to do a single stream on there. And you have Rumble. Dave Rubin invested in Rumble and Locals, or Locals bought Rumble bought Locals, and they still haven't integrated them well. So Locals will be the backup if Microsoft act a fool on the Discord. Locals will be the backup. But right now for Locals, the benefit for signing up for Locals, if you go to Locals, is you'll get email alerts. Because I'm not sending the alerts from the site just yet. I just don't know how. I just haven't had a chance to figure out like what I want to do. When do I want to send an alert? On Locals, I know, okay, if I'm going live, I'm just going to put the link. I put the link to the Rumble link actually. I actually do the YouTube sometimes. So I'll put the YouTube link in the Locals and you'll get an email update. You just click on the email, then you can click straight on the live. And then that will kind of counter the lack of a notification. Maybe sometimes you don't get a notification because of uploading more than 3 in 24 hours. I believe you still can't upload more than 3 in 24 hours. I believe that's still a limitation. So I do that on purpose sometimes if I just feel like uploading, and then I'll just do a live regardless of who comes through. But it's always good to have Jordan Lott come through. Jordan Lott, I don't know if you saw it the other night, I was talking about how the libertarians were acting a fool, man, because there's no Speaker of the House. Libertarians are like, we could get used to this. Libertarians are like, I like this. They were showing pictures of like the empty speaker chair. They were showing pictures of the Halloween costume of an empty bag, which is the Speaker of the House. Speaking of Speaker of the House, I do like Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is dope. I've talked about Mike Johnson on the show. You look at least these congressmen and women in hearings, he's probably number 2 after Matt Gaetz. He's that good. But, I mean, he's a corporate guy, but very MAGA friendly, kind of like Byron Donalds. But I like his presence. He had a little bad moment when they asked him about the 2020 election, and he didn't answer the question. He was like, next question, and they all laughed and stuff. I was like, no. I wish somebody would ask me about the 2020 election. It's 2 a.m. Mountain, and I'm babbling about the 2020 election. I wish somebody would ask me, put a mic in front of me and ask me about the 2020 election. I'm not going to say next question, but that's the best you're going to do. My thing on the speaker vote is they should go ahead and say, we're going to do one last vote for you establishment shills. If you don't vote for Mike Johnson, it ain't going to be any more Mike Johnsons. It's going to be Devin Nunes. I heard Cash Patella was on Timcast today. It'll be Peter Navarro. It'll be Steve Bannon. It'll be Grandpappy Dom. We'll be dancing to Bollywood. If you don't vote for Mike Johnson, yes, it's political blackmail. If you don't vote for Mike Johnson, we're done. You're going to have to make a compromise with the Democrats, and that's your career. You think they talk about us being a mess? That's why you haven't seen a collaboration with the Democrats. They could do that. The Democrats would make them do Hakeem Jeffrey, though, I think. I don't think the Democrats are going to come. There's no benefit for Democrats to combine their votes with establishment Republicans for a Republican speaker. I don't think it's going to happen. Because they want to use this dysfunction. There's no dysfunction. This is good. But as a weapon, as dysfunction. But what you're going to see is potentially no speaker through the budget. And then things are going to get real hairy at that point. I don't know what happens at that point. You could still pass the budget. You could still do a continuing resolution with a temporary one. But we don't know what's going to happen. So the Democrats are going to try to use this as a negative. The Republicans aren't going to go with the Hakeem Jeffries route because every Republican that goes with Democrats for Hakeem Jeffries will be done. They'll be done. Their incompetence to go with Hakeem Jeffries, and even if they did go with Hakeem Jeffries, I'm fine with that. I'm tired of this faking the game with, it's Kevin McCarthy, but he's really just a Democrat Party shill, and he's wearing a figurative red hat, like a red for Republican, not MAGA. But that was it. That's good. We are done. We are out. Thank you for joining Middle MAGA is the channel, and you saw the Discord. I did not put the Discord link in the chat. That is a fail. Come on, stop on by. Say hi. We don't bite. The Discord. Peace.
why does Israel need our help? We need to get out of their way. I mean, we interfere with them. We interfere with them when they deal with their borders, when they want to have peace treaties. We tell them what they can do because we buy their allegiance and they sacrifice their sovereignty to us. And then they decide they want to bomb something. That's their business, but they should, suffer the consequences. When they bomb the Iraqi missile site, why does Israel need our help? We need to get out of their way. Why does Israel need? Why does Israel need our help? We need to get out of their way. I mean, we interfere with them. We interfere with them when they deal with their borders, when they want to have peace treaties. We tell them what they can do because we buy their allegiance and they sacrifice their sovereignty to us. And then they decide they want to bomb something. That's their business, but they should, suffer the consequences. When they bombed the Iraqi missile site, a nuclear site back in the 80s, I was one of the few in Congress that said it's none of our business and Israel should take care of themselves. Israel has 200, 300 nuclear missiles and they can take care of themselves. Why should we commit? We don't even have a treaty with Israel. Why do we have this automatic commitment that we're going to send our kids and send our money endlessly to Israel? So I think they're quite capable of taking care of themselves. I think we do detriment. Just think of all the money we gave to Egypt over 30 or 40 years. Now look, we were buying friendship. Now there's a civil war. They're less friendly to Israel. That whole thing is going to backfire once we go bankrupt and we remove our troops. So I think we should be very cautious in our willingness to go to war and send troops without a proper declaration by the U.S. Congress.
Let me let Herman.